What if I told you that on one humid night in 1593, a soldier simply vanished? One moment, he was guarding the palace walls of Manila. The next, he stood trembling in the heart of Mexico City, over 9,000 miles away. He told the people a story so unbelievable, so impossible, that no one could accept it as truth. Was this the world's first case of teleportation? A tear in the fabric of reality? Or just a legend whispered through centuries and buried in the shadows of history? Today, we uncover the strange case of Gil Pérez, the soldier who may have traveled across the world in the blink of an eye. The year is 1593. Manila, the capital of Spain's Asian empire, stands as a city of contrasts. By day, the markets are alive with sound. Chinese merchants haggle over silk and porcelain. Malay sailors unload spices, pepper, cloves, cinnamon, from the distant islands of the Moluccas. The city is fragile. Its new stone walls are built to protect Manila from pirates and local uprisings, but they cannot stop the troubles inside the city. At the center stands the governor's palace, a place of orders and commands. The governor depends on many hired men to carry out his plans. Sailors, laborers, and oarsmen who row the ships and load the cargo. Many of these men are Chinese, far from their homeland. They are given the hardest work, yet their pay often comes late. Promises are broken, and harsh discipline weighs heavily upon them. From hardship grows distrust, whispered in the shadows. Resentment hardens into defiance. Unease fuels anger, and anger finally bursts into violence. It was the night of October 24th, 1593. Manila slept under a heavy silence, but inside the governor's palace, shadows stirred. For weeks, whispers of unrest had floated in the air, unseen, unheard by most. The governor's Chinese oarsmen, always viewed with suspicion, carried in their hearts a growing fire. Tonight, that fire would break loose. At first, there was only calm, the glow of torches on stone walls, the quiet before the storm. Then, steel ripped through the dark. The blade struck deep. Scream tore across the palace like thunder. Governor Gómez Perez das Mariñas staggered. His eyes wide in shock. Blood spilled down his chest, staining the silk of his robe. He reached out, desperate for his guards, for anyone. But no one was there in time. The living symbol of Spain's power in the east was crumbling. He collapsed onto the stone floor. In this atmosphere, one weary soldier stood at his post, unaware that his world was about to twist in ways that would defy reason itself. His name is Gil Pérez. Not a general, not a nobleman, just one of hundreds of colonial soldiers tasked with protecting Spain's faraway outpost. He is exhausted from standing watch for hours. His armor, once polished and shining, now feels like chains pulling him down. Sweat pours from beneath his helmet, stinging his eyes. His back aches. His eyelids are heavy. He tells himself he must stay awake. The humid air feels thicker. His heartbeat grows louder. His vision begins to blur. For just a moment, he closes his eyes, and then something happens. His chest tightens. A strange dizziness washes over him, as though the world itself is shifting. When he opens his eyes again, the world is different. The humid night of Manila is gone. The palace walls, the palm trees, the soldiers, they have vanished. Instead, he finds himself standing in the wide plaza of a city he does not recognize. The plaza is full of noise. Merchants shout to sell their goods. Priests preach to the crowds, and wooden carts roll over the stone streets. The air is cooler, drier. Grand cathedrals rise above him. Spanish voices echo all around. But the accents are strange, unfamiliar. His mind reeling. Where am I? His boots are caked with tropical mud. His skin darkened by the harsh Philippine sun. His face is pale, eyes wide with disbelief, as if he has awoken in the middle of a dream. He does not know where he is, and yet, the crowd cannot look away. People stop in their tracks. A group of soldiers grip their swords, watching carefully. This man is dressed like them. Yes, but not exactly. His uniform carries the marks of Manila, of Spain's faraway colony across the ocean. Whispers ripple through the plaza. Who is he? Where did he come from? Why does he look so lost? The man gathers his breath and introduces himself. I am Gil Pérez, soldier of Manila. The crowd stiffens. Manila? The word itself feels distant, alien. Everyone knows that the Philippines are across the Pacific Ocean, 9,000 miles away. A journey of half a year, carried only by the great Manila galleons. No one could simply walk from Manila into Mexico City. And yet, here he stands. He told them that just moments ago, he had stood in Manila itself, a city shaken by the governor's sudden assassination and thrown into chaos. But no matter how desperately he spoke, his words were of no use. The guards moved across the plaza, their boots echoing on the cobblestones. Soldiers gripped his arms. Prying his spear from his grasp, he tried to resist slightly, a faint struggle, but his strength was no match for the Mexican soldiers. His body was tired, and his arms and legs felt heavy from the long, impossible journey. Gil's heart pounded, each beat louder than the last. Shadows twisted, stretched across the cobblestones, moving with him. Or was it his imagination? His mind clung to fragments of Manila, to the humid night and the palace walls. His thoughts slipped away, replaced by the roar of the crowd. The shouting, the stench of fear, then sudden silence. The plaza, the merchants, the chaos, all gone. Before him loomed the barracks, damp stone and iron heavy in the air. The city's noise had vanished. Silence crashed over him as the guards shoved him forward. The officials moved in, their voices sharp against the stone walls. Every word he spoke felt fragile under their suspicion. They waited for him to stumble, to reveal a lie. But Gil Pérez stayed steady, even as the thought crept in that he might never leave this place. The uncertainty gnawed at him, a constant, invisible torment. Days turned into weeks. Gil Pérez remained in custody, locked behind heavy doors. He did not even know when, or if, he would ever leave this place. Would the world outside ever believe him? The guards began to whisper about him. Some claimed he was a lost soldier, caught in the snare of sorcery. Others swore he was cursed, branded by the devil himself. Whatever the case, none dared treat him as ordinary. Outside the prison, the city was still alive with rumor. People whispered about the soldier who had appeared out of nowhere. They called him El Soldado Fantasma, the Phantom Soldier. But for Gil, there was nothing legendary about his days. Only waiting every morning, he faced another round of questions. Every night, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling, trapped between fear and hope. Each morning, he woke with the same quiet hope and the same heavy fear. At night, he prayed that someone would believe, that proof would come, that his name would be cleared. Days crawled by. His hope was small, but it refused to die. He held on to that fragile light inside him, waiting for any sign that truth might break free. And then, one day, far from his cell on the horizon, a glimmer appeared. A ship. Its sails stretched wide, weathered and torn from months at sea. Slowly the news spread. First a whisper among the watchmen, then a murmur through the docks. Merchants stopped mid-trade. Sailors dropped their ropes. Even the guards who mocked Gil Pérez grew silent. The city seemed to pause, as if the air itself sensed what was coming. In the town hall, officials gathered. On the long wooden table lay the letters from Manila with heavy red wax. Candles flickered low, filling the room with the scent of smoke and old paper. But no one moved to break the seal, to open the door to a truth they feared to face. The silence deepened. Every face was tense, every breath held. Then, the seal cracked. I scanned the words. First a gasp. Murmurs spread like fire across dry grass. The impossible had been written down, clear and undeniable. Governor Gómez Perez das Mariñas, assassinated, cut down by the very men who had once rowed his ship. The truth was no longer his alone. It was now written, sealed and undeniable. The Chinese oarsmen, the mutiny, the chaos aboard the fleet. Every detail that Gil Pérez had spoken of months ago, exactly as he said it. The officials' faces went pale. Eyes turned slowly to Gil Pérez. The uniform he wore. The spear he carried. The calm in his voice, even now, as he repeated the same impossible story. It was true. And yet, nothing explained how. Whispers filled the hall, growing louder. Was it divine intervention? Or sorcery? Perhaps some curse or miracle? Time seemed to stretch as the city, the officials, and the soldiers all paused, suspended in disbelief. The impossible had touched reality, but the full weight of it was yet to be understood. And for Gil Pérez, the realization was twofold. Months of uncertainty had ended, but a new kind of fear had begun. Now everyone knew he had seen something no one else could explain, and the world would never look at him, or at the laws of nature, the same way again. Even after everyone knew Gil Pérez was telling the truth, the question stayed the same. How did this happen? Scholars, priests, and officials all tried to explain it. Some said it was a miracle. God had chosen Gil Pérez to carry news across the ocean in just one night. People whispered about divine power, about fate and destiny guiding a simple soldier. Others were afraid. They spoke in low voices about dark magic, sorcery. In the 16th century, anything people could not understand was dangerous. A man knowing what no one else knew could be a threat to faith, law, and order. Some thought he had been cursed. Others thought he had been protected by powers beyond the human world. Even today, some people call it teleportation, a sudden, impossible travel across thousands of miles. Some say it was a time slip, a tear in reality that swallowed Gil in Manila and dropped him in Mexico City. Over time, people turned Gil Pérez into a legend. His story grew with every retelling. For centuries, it has fascinated people. It has inspired questions, theories, and wonder. And it will continue to do so as long as we dare to imagine the impossible. Gil Pérez may have vanished into history, but his story will never be forgotten.